Hi everyone! Our topic for today is all about solving problems involving variation. One of the useful concepts in mathematics is about the relationship between the two variables, stating that if one of the quantities increases or decreases, the other quantity also increases or decreases. This is called variation. There are different applications of variations in various learning fields like mechanics, agriculture, and even manufacturing. Analyze the problem so you can form an equation that will represent your word problem. You can also find the constant of variation first to solve for the desired quantities. There are some steps in solving word problems that we can use in solving problems involving variations. First, identify the problem. So dito, alamin natin kung ano yung tinatanong, ano yung pinapahanap doon sa word problem. Step 2, formulate an equation. So in our previous lesson, na-discuss natin how to translate into variation statement or into mathematical equation a relationship between two quantities. So gagamitin natin yan if we are given a situation or a word problem. Kailangan natin siyang i-translate una, syempre, into a variation statement, and then after that, kailangan ninyong hanapin yung constant of variation para makapag-formulate tayo ng mathematical equation that will represent the given situation. And then, step 3, syempre, you have to solve. Okay, so we are going to use the given values or given quantities doon sa mathematical equation na mapo-formulate natin. And then, step 4, assess your answer. For example, example 1, during the first month of pandemic, one of the essentials that Filipino family needs is food. With this, Barangay Captain Eugene Rodriguez decided to distribute packs of rice from the emergency fund of the barangay to his constituent in order to help them in their daily needs. If 51 kilograms of rice can feed a family for 45 days, how many kilograms of rice are needed to feed the same family for 60 days? To solve for example 1, pwede nating gamitin yung steps na binigay kanina. So, step 1, determine the problem. So, ano po ba yung pinapahanap dito sa example 1 or situation 1? Sabi dyan, if 51 kilograms of rice, kung ang 51 kilograms daw ay kayang pakainin ang isang pamilya sa loob ng 45 days, ilang kilogram of rice daw ang kakailanganin para mapakain yung same family na yon for 60 days. So, mapapansin niyo dyan sa step 1, let R be the number of kilos of rice and let D be the number of days. So, in translating the given situation into variation statement, kailangan natin gumamit ng mga variables or letters to represent the two quantities. So, ginamit natin dito ang R to represent the number of kilos of rice, and then letter D to represent the number of days. For step 2, the number of kilograms of rice R that can feed a family varies directly as the number of days D and R equals 51 when D equals 45. So, bakit kaya si situation 1 ay example ng direct variation? Bakit kaya natin nasabi na the number of kilograms of rice that can feed a family varies directly as the number of days? So, ang variation statement natin dito, R varies directly as D. Kasi, syempre, 'di ba, habang tumatagal yung mga araw or habang nadadagdagan ng number of days, tumataas yung kakailanganing kilos ng bigas. Since situation 1 is an example of direct variation, makikita nyo dyan sa equation, we have y varies directly as x, kaya y equals kx, or since yung ginamit nating variables ay r and d, r for the number of kilograms of rice, and d for the number of days, so r varies directly as the number of days, so r varies directly as d, kaya meron tayong r equals kd. Kailangan muna nating hanapin yung constant of variation. So, K representing the constant of variation ang magiging formula natin. Since R is equal to K times D, therefore K is equal to R divided by D. So, kung mapapansin nyo dyan sa step 3, yung solution natin, we have 51. Sinubstitute po natin yung value ni R, which is 51, equals K times the value of D, which is 45, and then i-divide lang po natin si 51 by 45. So, K is equal to 51 divided by 45. As you can see, since hindi natin pwedeng i-divide si 51 by 45 exactly, yung sagot natin or yung constant of variation natin ay fraction, which is 51 over 45. So, ang magiging mathematical equation natin is R equals 51 over 45, which is the constant of variation, times the value of D, or the number of days. Since ang pinapahanap sa atin, ano daw ang value ni R, or ilang kilos daw ng bigas ang kakailanganin sa loob ng 60 days, meron tayong R equals, substitute the value of the constant of variation, which is 51 over 45. Kaya meron tayo dyang R equals 51 over 45. Then, substitute the value of the number of days, which is 60. Kaya meron tayong 51 over 45 times 60. So, ang gagawin nyo muna dyan, i-multiply nyo muna si 51 with 60. So, 51 times 60, yung product nila, i-divide ninyo sa 45. So, the answer is R equals 68. Thus, 68 kilograms of rice are needed to feed the family for 60 days. Y varies directly as x and inversely as z, and y equals 22 when x equals 4 and z equals 6. Find y when x equals 10 and z equals 25. Since this is an example of combined variation, y varies directly as x. So, kung mapapansin ninyo doon sa ating solution, y equals k times x, si x po nasa numerator kasi varies directly siya, and inversely as z, kaya si z po nasa denominator. So, kung si y equals k times x divided by z, therefore, the constant of variation is equal to the product of y and z divided by x. So, una, para matranslate natin yung ating variation statement into mathematical equation, kailangan muna nating hanapin ang constant of variation. So, ang gagamitin nating formula is k equals y times z divided by x. So, by substitution, isa-substitute natin yung value ng y, which is 22, value ng z, which is 6, and value ng x, which is 4. So, for the constant of variation, we have k equals 22, which is the value of y, times 6, which is the value of z, divided by 4, which is the value of x. So, 22 times 6 divided by 4, that is equal to 33. So, ang ating constant of variation dito sa example 2 is 33. Ngayon, yung value ni constant of variation, isa-substitute natin yan ngayon dyan sa value ni k, sa kay k. So, yung mathematical equation natin ay magiging y equals 33x divided by z. To find y when x equals 10 and z equals 25, gagamitin natin yung mathematical equation natin. So, again, our mathematical equation, y equals 33 times x divided by z. Substitute the value of x, which is 10, and the value of z, which is 25. So, we have y equals 33 times 10, which is the value of x, divided by 25, which is the value of z. So, 33 times 10 is equal to 330. 330 divided by 25 is equal to 13.2. Therefore, y is equal to 13.2 when x equals 10 and z equals 25.